than your currency. Splurge your millions buying houses.
Hey guys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of the No BS with Birchy podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Birch, and this is the show unraveling the truth to the facade of the 21st century. We're now exiting the matrix and waking up to motherfucking reality. Today, guys, a lot of people have been asking me about one of my newest ventures, right? In all of my businesses, I've got over a dozen different sort of brands of things that I do. And, every sort of year or two, I'll do something different and grow and improve what I do and expand. And this year in 2021, 2022, I have built my newest venture, which is the Birch Hotel Group. And a lot of people are asking me questions about, Birchy, should I be buying a motel? Can I buy a motel? What's the best way to buy a motel? Etc., etc. And I've got lots of questions here about it, and I wanted to talk a little bit about why I got into the motel business, the pros and cons of it, what I've learned over the last 12 months. Is it worthwhile? And all different things in between. So I guess probably the first question is, why do I buy motels for and hotels? When I first started in the motels, it was actually literally a year ago, I had realised that I'd be buying properties for my investors in areas like Gladstone and Chinchilla. And these are two markets which are sort of mining related, and I'm anti-mining, right? I don't normally buy in mining towns because I've seen so many people blow their fingers off, so many stories of people that bought a property for $500,000, it's worth $100,000, all these horror stories over the years. And I see so much hype of people, doing their ass by being caught up into those sort of transactions. And over the last decade, hearing people that have, bought a property, you've seen the Sydney market go up from $500,000 to $1 million, and you've seen people that bought a $500,000 property in these areas, and it's gone down to $100,000 at the other side. So you've got two different outcomes from there. But I'm a value investor, I'm a contrarian investor, and I buy shit when it's cheap. And I started buying these properties going back about 4 or 5 years ago for my investors, which were in areas like Gladstone, Chinchilla. We picked up properties that used to sell for $500,000 for like $50,000 or $60,000 for a 2-bedroom unit, a house, or whatever the case may be. And I bought hundreds of these properties, in the back end for my investors that were like less than the price of a car. And those properties had gone up from from 50 grand to 100 grand to 150 grand and probably like 200 grand now to get into those sort of markets. And it was only probably about 18 months ago that I thought to myself, shit, I really need to go buy myself like 20 or 30 of these properties. I just wasn't in a position. I was doing other deals at the time. And I was like, I want to go buy some. And I looked around and I was like, damn, right? Like, this is the first time it had ever happened that I had bought properties, but I couldn't go and capture the market myself. So, all my investors got all these properties that had doubled, quadrupled, and all that sort of stuff, but I was unable to afford the property. So I started scrambling around on Real Commercial. I found a few little shops, bought the shops, and then I found these motels, and I bought 2 motels back in like 2013, which didn't really work out the best for me because I rented them out to sort of housing commission and sort of, troubled sort of tenants. And it caused a lot of riffraff, and it just didn't work out how it should have. Those properties went up. They both do quite well today. Well, one of them is going through a transformation to be a really glitzy, glamorous motel. But looking at those properties, I thought, shit, they didn't work out the best for me. There was a lot of headaches and all that sort of stuff. If I buy these motels, I found some motels that were cheap in these areas like Chinchilla and Gladstone and that. If I buy these things, are they going to be a bigger headache for me than what they're worth? So I thought, well, fundamentals is if someone else is running this business, if I can come in from a corporate perspective, I can run these things better. But I thought, this sounds like the worst investment I could ever do. So I went out there and I said, look, I'm going to try and buy 5 properties in the motel space in 2021, and we'll see how that goes. And if it blows my fingers off, well, at least I've bought them below the infrastructure costs. I can off-sell them and I've got a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. Worst case, I can just rent them out as, whatever they were, to housing commission or something like that. But I went out and I thought, I'll build this strategy and see how it goes. And it's working to this point pretty decent. And there's a lot of learnings that have come from the last 12 months. So what my probably biggest learnings are is that you're not buying a piece of real estate. So buying a motel shouldn't be for anyone. Like, it will really screw 99% of people up, because the people that specialize in motels and buy these things really, that's their business, right? They're operating, they're turning sheets, they're doing the room rentals, all that sort of stuff. And if they can't do it, well, then how are you going to be running it from remote? It's not like having a property manager to run it. Even if you had an onboard management that's running the motel, then you've got to manage those staff. You need HR, you need fair work, you need all that sort of infrastructure that's behind it. You need a legal department, you need corporate governance, you need, processes, procedures, manuals. Are you in a different state? Could you be locked down, right? Like, I haven't seen probably about 90% of my properties because I've been in Sydney and not in Queensland, for example, and a lot of them are in Queensland. So looking at, the differences, there's a few big differences here, right? So first one is council rates. Council rates on your property, like $2,000. You could have a house next door to a motel. The house is $2,000 a year. The motel's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year in council rates. I fucking kid you not. Council rates at $20,000, $50,000 a year, insane. But what you've got to think about is you might have 30 toilets there, so they'll charge you 30 times the waste service, 30 times the roads and all that sort of stuff. So council rates, massive. You've got to run it. You're not buying a real estate asset. You're buying a real estate asset, but you're running your business from there. So you are now running businesses. You have all the headaches from those businesses. You could have market volatility. You can't go and close down a shop and build a new shop inside that. You have a motel, so you must run it as a motel. So your market is very, very condensed, and you need to be a very tight operator. If something goes wrong, let's say you've got plumbing, you want to redo a bathroom, you've now got 40 bathrooms to replace, not one, right? Do you just do one, or do you do all 40? If you have to leave it vacant, how long will it, like, for example, I'm doing one at the moment, which is, I'm hoping it'll be done within 6 months. And that's me having to go 2 hours a day, every second day, for an hour or two, plus the hour or two each way to get there. Meeting trades, the time, energy drain for me, project managing that sort of asset is very time consuming. So, we've got 7, 8 renos going at the moment. I've only shown one of them because I can't get to the other 6 or 7 of them. So there's many different things. So I don't advise to anyone. It's not, I'm saying it's the greatest investment in the world, but I have a strategy. I have a vision as to what I'm doing. I'm accumulating all of them, right? So when people come to one, they know that, okay, Birchy's going to give me a affordable price. He's going to give me a nice roof over my head. I'm not having to go and worry about getting an STD from laying in the bed. It's clean, and it's functional. That's what I'm building here. Some of these places are actually really nice, beautiful properties. Some are resorts, some are little, real dingy sort of pubs, and I have to, upbring these properties to being a good sort of standard. So looking at, some of the learnings, I've learned a lot of things this year, and I am not deterred by it. If I had it as my core business, I would have gone bankrupt straight away, and I'm buying these things with cash. So it's the opportunity cost with those funds being held elsewhere doing something else. So you need to weigh in all of these aspects, but I've got a bigger picture for what I'm building. And I understand that I have a real estate component of what I do, and I have a business component of what I do, and I'm building other layers of financial instruments on top of this ecosystem. So I'm never really going to go down into the intricate parts of what I'm building and how I'm building it and stuff, but I'm just giving you an overview as to what I'm buying, what I'm doing within, how come I'm doing it. So what do I get when I buy these assets? I'm buying a business, I'm buying a piece of real estate, I'm buying the land, I'm buying the bricks, I'm buying the beds, I'm buying the furniture and the infrastructure. If someone wants to come along and be my competitor in the market, they have to go and do all that shit, which is going to cost a hell of a lot more money in order to become my competitor. If I get annoyed with it all in the future, I could go and knock these buildings down and rebuild blocks of units. A lot of these places are key prime pieces of real estate in really nice locations. So if you think about every time you go on a holiday, you've got, 2 acres or an acre of land with this motel on it, which is surrounded by little houses. You can go buy all the little houses around it. I've got the bigger piece of land. So I'm looking at it from many, many different perspectives. These things here, a lot of people can't get finance for the property, so it does make it very, very much more complex. So I'm just fortunate enough that I'm using my foundation property portfolio to then go and buy these motels and hotels. I think a lot of people, don't realise that they might go and buy a few houses or whatever, but there needs to be a bigger part. It's just really, for me today, a bit more of a game that I'm playing. It's mainly a game. Looking at what deals, I just noticed here, one of the questions I was going to talk about is one of my best deals. Well, I'm very new to this space. A lot of people say to me, oh, Nathan, you buy these properties, you build property portfolios, you're very experienced with it. I'm nervous buying my first house. Well, that's because you're vulnerable. You don't know. When you're buying a property for the first time, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You don't know the unknowns. And I guess for the first time in probably 15 years or so, I've actually felt vulnerable on that front because I don't know what I'm doing, right? So I am, venturing into a market that I've never been into beforehand. I'm not a tourism operator. I'm not a hospitality operator. I'm not a hotel operator. I'm not a motel operator. I'm not a publican. I've never been in them, but I am all of them now because that's what, I've ventured into it as a business perspective. So as for saying what my best property is right now, my cheapest one was $100,000. My most expensive one is $5 million so far. I have various different sort of types of assets. Some are resorts. Some that I'm looking at, I'm working on around the $20 million mark, and hopefully they'll pull off in the course of the next sort of 6 months sort of thing. So there's lots of, learnings there. I wouldn't be able to say one is my favourite. I do have one little favourite one, and I do not know why, right? This property is very damaged. I'm working the way through fixing it. It got impacted via Cyclone Debbie, I think it was, back in 2018 or 2017. All I know is that I bought this place and it was fucked, like half the roof's missing off it and certain stuff like that. It was a motel in the Whitsundays. I bought it for $520 or $540 grand, something like that. And it rents out for quite good money, and it's missing half a roof at the moment. So I can only imagine that when we fix it, I'm literally going through, taking out all the windows, taking off the roof. I'm going back and rebuilding a lot of these properties down to their core bone. So when I finish with this property, if it's doing really good and it's hanky-banky and, in mangled pieces, I don't even know what I was saying there, hanky-banky. If this place is totally screwed up, and it's in all different pieces, I could only imagine how great it would be once it's been sort of renovated and the cash flow is quite strong. So, looking at which one's my favourite, I don't have a favourite at the moment. The room sizes have gone up from 8 room in a motel all the way up to 36 rooms in a motel. And I'm in the process of building or looking at building another 30 to one of those sites. So I think over the course of the next 12 months, I've bought about 35 properties this year that I've committed to. I want to commit to about 25 to 50 per year motels. That's my sort of acquisition plan. So it is something very, very different. But I actually am looking at in 2022 to actually develop and build some other sort of ventures on these sites as well. So what are my plans for moving forward? As I mentioned, I want to get to 100 is my ideal goal in 2025. We're here in 2022, so I've got another sort of 3-4 years in order to be able to get to that goal, to get to 100. I think if we can acquire 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 per year, it would be great. I want to build this into a large corporate style. I can already see that in the course of 2021, achieved so much for being the first year in business, but we're the fastest growing tourism company and hospitality company out there in the country, and we've only just started. So it's really, really exciting as to seeing what the future holds for the motels. But just to be clear, like my biggest learning is that when I'm buying a motel, I'm not investing into a piece of real estate. I am investing into a piece of real estate, but I'm adding in all this extra risk, right? All this extra risk, adding all this extra risk, which at this point, I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent, but I know fundamentally what I'm buying. And the reason why I'm buying it is that I'm getting distressed real estate that's very, very cheap with a lot of infrastructure. That's what I'm buying. Everything on top, I trust no businesses. Half of these businesses I'm buying are really shit. Some of them I've noticed have been not profitable and slightly negative to run, but it's an overall strategy, and I'll work out a way to make them profitable. But you do have the business component. So you're not buying a piece of real estate, you're buying a piece of real estate that's got a very limited market, which is the tourism and hospitality sort of sector. And then you've got to build a business on top of that, which has got all the other things that come along with that in an industry that I don't know, and quite often with a lot of things that need to be repaired. So, this year has been very, eye-opening and exploratory. Is that even a word? We've been exploring certain different things, and I'm really, really excited to see where the future will go with this, because I think that there's a very big niche in the market, a very big upside potential, especially with people wanting to visit Australia when the borders open, especially a lot of people travelling in their own backyard because they're scared to go over to other countries, and a lot of people doing sort of national holidays. And that's where I'm really excited by picking up these businesses, because I think we're going to see a lot of people wanting to go back. And my slogan for the Birch Hotel Group is we're going back to the good old days, but we're making them better. And a lot of people want to go back to a family holiday, go to a little town. When you go on holidays now, you go to a motel, there's not many smaller motels or small little pubs. They're normally either a Woolworths owned, a Coles owned, some big corporation, super fund that owns a big Accor building or something like that. But you don't have the little sort of holidays that you would have grown up in when you go to a little coastal town and you have a little 10-room, 20-room motel. If you do go to one of those places, it's normally dingy, old, and disgusting. And, I want to go and re-bring those things back into the 21st century and make them really, really nice so people can go back and relive their old life and, go back to the old things and go back to the good old days and make them better. So, on that note, I'm going to tap out here. Just want to share with you a little bit about my journey for the first year in business with my motels. It's been very exciting. I'm very excited for where the future goes. Already probably the largest hotel operator in the country with the amount of motel buildings and businesses that I have. And I look forward to taking up 10% of that market share within the next 5 years. So, I'll report back on that a little bit later. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, flick it through. I'm going to leave it at that today. Make sure that you share it with your friends. Give us a like if you like it. And always check in on Tuesdays. Subscribe to us at Spotify, Google, Apple Play, YouTube, and Facebook. We'll catch up soon. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Like Bilal said, man, we're stuck in the matrix. This my advice, don't care if you take it. The dollar back to die, soon to be hyperinflated. This my 2 cents, don't care if you save it. Joint be decentralized and you will see you've been lied to the whole time, and it's the irony, cause they do the exact opposite. You become a slave to the system, enough your money, all they do is profit. There's no conspiracy theory, you better hear me. Crypto will set you free before the system does. I don't care if you do or you don't, but what I'm saying is the truth to the reason you choke. I've never been a failure, excuse my behavior. Keep talking, haters doing me a favor. They all telling lies, I know what they been telling you. I'm the opposite, the Donald Trump of Australia. It's amazing, here for the taking. My time is never wasted, just getting wasted. These girls say I'm really breathtaking.